Right. Let's talk about it. The career prenup.
So, candidates are now negotiating their severance package when they get an offer. And I started seeing this around like mid to late 2022. It really picked up in 2023. And from my anecdotal experience, I was seeing it from candidates who had been laid off multiple times. That's why I think it's really a response to what's happening as far as the job market. Um, it's not really something new per se. We've been for many years having severance conversations as the have been standard at like the executive level, right? Every
Yeah.
executive knows and it has in their contract like how much they're going to get and what are their terms and all of that. What's really new is that we're seeing it at every level, and that's why I was like, this is really a response to what's happening. Candidates who have been laid off multiple times or who have heard about the layoffs, or even I worked at a company who had layoffs but was still hiring people because that happens. And those were the questions are like, okay, great. Thank you for this offer. What does severance look like? The pushback that I was getting and that a lot of people get is, well, we only do this for executives. And the questions from candidates were like, but why? Right? They have the same risk as an executive. And I really, it doesn't have to be complicated. I've had two career prenups throughout my career. One, it's not complicated, it was just part of the offer, right? It was a clause in the offer. One company said, "Look, we want 30 days notice from you if you leave. We'll do the same, and if we lay you off, you don't have to work the 30 days. We'll just pay you 30 days." So
Mm.
I knew going in that if I were to get laid off, I would get paid 30 days and that was it. And I got laid off from that company. It happened couple of years down the line, and I knew exactly there was no discussions to be had because we had spoken about that since the beginning. Another company had in their offer also just a simple clause in their offer saying, "We don't do severance." That's it. I mean, looking back, it was a red flag.
Yeah.
I just needed money. They just needed someone, so it worked out great for us. But for a lot of people there, you could see it was just a different vibe. There was a lot of people who left without notice, me included. It's just the way you treated that company was different because they were telling you up front, "Look, we don't care if we have to lay you off, you're not getting a single penny from us. No questions asked." So really it's I think we should look at it as a chance to build trust early, but not only look at it for candidates, right? It's reduces long-term risk, right? You have clear exit terms. So there's no room for like lawsuits and things like there's always room for lawsuits, but the risk
Yeah.
is reduced if people know upfront how things are going to end, right? It shows goodwill, right? It signals that your company values fairness and stability, and it shows confidence, right? Because the message that's out there with all of these layoffs that have been happening these couple of years are companies don't care about you. The second they make a penny less than what they were expecting, you're gone, all of that. So it shows confidence. Of course, there are complexities. We could sit here and talk about it back and forth all day, but I really think there's more good than bad to this, and I really think it's something we should get ahead of and be proactive about. What are your thoughts, Matt?
Yeah, a couple of things. I suppose to start with, I mean, I completely agree with you. I think it's this. It's not even about rebalancing the employer employee relationship. It's about honesty about what the world is like and what the situation is like. And people have been through some horrendous things in the last couple of years when it comes to layoffs and not getting what they're expecting or not knowing what that would look like. And this is just if work is going to continue in this vein, and it looks like it is. We talk about gig work, we talk about fractional work, we talk about talent marketplaces. This makes perfect sense. And it's just putting into the words or written words or whatever it is something that's already there. I think that's the sort of that's my kind of first thought on it. My second thought is obviously there is a geographical variance here because in Europe, um, a lot of this is enshrined in law. Anyway, so there are certain sort of legal aspects to it, but at the same time, there are things that aren't, and there are lots of different types of circumstances, and also, I think there has to be an amount of a flexibility within this because employers might not always, you don't always know what the situation's going to be like, and I'm getting into the complexities of it. So I think that's that's kind of a part of it. But also I think that beyond the kind of the basics, I think we kind of step back and look at what's always happened in the top level executive world, where people are effectively agreeing their golden goodbye before they've even gone, and a lot of that is about risk that they take in moving jobs, and the short tenure that they might have, and that's the case for everyone now. The risks from moving from a what might seem a stable job to something that isn't are kind of real, and I think people, if they've not experienced that themselves, they'll know people who have. So again, I think it's kind of inevitable. I think that lots of employers would sort of kick back against it, but I kind of agree. I agree with you. I think it's something that is kind of really important, important part of kind of rebalancing that sort of relationship. I mean, is this a widespread thing? Have you seen much of this happening in practice?
Uh, I wouldn't call it widespread. I think it's something that's we're going to see more of because, again, like everything with candidates, as people start talking about it and they'll start being like, oh, wait, I remember tweeting back in like 2020, you guys know you can negotiate your severance, right? I just tweeted that. I got so many DMs and so many people asking. So, the more people talk about this, and people are talking about it online, the more people talk about this, the more people will start doing it. It's like, oh, wait, I didn't know I could do that. Um, why not?
Yeah, and again, I mean, this has come up in every every part of the show tonight. This whole thing about cultural norms, about how people think about work, and how it's supposed to work, and it hasn't worked like that for a very long time. But change is kind of happening fast. So I think it's just a lot of it is just having a real kind of honest look about the way things really work and the way things, are going to change and work in the future. And there will be a lot of job displacement because of things like AI. There'll be jobs created too, and opportunities and things like that. But it's kind of a conversation that's not going to go away, is it?
It's absolutely not. And like everything we've talked about throughout the show, just how everything's changing, gig work, fractional, all of these people have these things, especially fractional or should in their contracts, right? So it's going to be normalized as well for direct employees, I think. I really think companies who are going to win are the ones who are going to be proactive about this. And the truth is, you probably already know what your severance looks like. Let's be honest. You
Mm.
already know kind of like what you would offer if that were the situation, just to let people know up front.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And just to kind of just to kind of ask you like an extra question, while you're here, um, 2025 on Wednesday, which I've said about 10 times so far. What are your sort of big trending or ending things for 2025? What do you think we're going to be talking about in the coming months?
I think we're going to be talking a lot more about candidate focused hiring. I wish I would have saved it, but I saw a report about how terribly we've done when it comes to candidate experience, candidate resentment. So even though the market is flooded with candidates, we're going to be forced to really think about this, and we're also going to be forced to be strategic like we were talking at the beginning. The days of like, oh, this is nice to have stuff like, no, let's be strategic. Let's align to what the company goals are as a people function, as a TA function. That's what we're going to be talking about a lot. And of course, AI and how AI is going to help. us do all of these manual repetitive things that we've been doing, that we've been seen as the administrative people. AI can do it now. So if you really want to keep your job, continue to be relevant, and or see our function continue to live on, it has to fundamentally change how we do it.
No, absolutely. One of the on our prediction show, one of my accountable predictions was next year is the year we stop talking about AI, because it'll just be there, and it's talking about how it drives change and all that kind of stuff. So Rona, thank you very much. Looking forward to talking to you next year, as in next Monday. An absolute pleasure.